Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us this morning or afternoon or evening or whatever the time might be where you're at. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Again, welcome. We've got with us today for this webinar, Bernard Nguyen, who's the Senior Director of Business Strategy with Matterport, and very excited to hear what he has to say. He's got a lot of experience in residential real estate. And Tom Hall is with us, CEO of the Tom Hall Group. Also a tremendous amount of insight and experience in real estate, and we'll get into all of that in a minute. So let's go ahead on to the next slide. So a little bit of housekeeping as you kind of settle down. I just wanted to point out some things. We're going to have a Q&A at the end. And what I'd like to do, if you have a question throughout the webinar, and we can also, go ahead and address those through the webinar, kind of play it as it goes, but the idea is to leave those live questions for the end. But please go ahead and submit your question as we kind of go through this. It just helps kind of see them coming in, and that way we, may refer to it before getting to the Q&A or not, whatever. But use the Q&A panel. You'll see the Q&A button in the bottom of your Zoom panel. Use that for questions for Tom, for Bernard, for myself, anything like that. And by all means, go ahead and use the chat to say hi, to chat amongst yourselves. I like to see these webinars as a sort of meetup for all of us. I mean, we're all somehow connected to the real estate industry, so it's nice to kind of get to know one another, and just kind of throw questions out to others on the call or anything like that. So go ahead and take advantage of chat for that. Q&A for questions directed to the three of us. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about how to win more listings. That's what this is all about. That's what we're here to answer and kind of promote. So we'll talk about how to win more listings. We'll show you some stats. We'll talk about using virtual staging to retain your earnings, and best practices with Tom Hall. See what he does. We have a model that he shot and everything like that. All right, let's first touch on what is a digital twin. A lot of you might be under the assumption that Matterport is just another virtual tour company, and that's what we do, and that's what we've done, and we're good at it. But you might have heard the term digital twin and not really sure what that is or how that relates to virtual tour. So a digital twin is actually not a virtual tour. It's a representation of the physical space. It's a digital representation of the physical space. It's like a copy of it, basically. So from that copy, and that's actually what Matterport does. Matterport is more in the business of creating these digital twins than we are, virtual tours. But from the digital twin, you get your virtual tour. So that's how that works. We help you very easily create a digital twin of the property. In this case, it's a home. And then from that, you can create a virtual tour and add features to it and, jazz it up with things like Mattertags and highlight reels and all sorts of things. So that's it. That's a digital twin versus virtual tour. So let's go ahead and take a demo. While I demo this is Tom's site. I just want to point out a couple things. And I'll have, Tom maybe talk about this as well. Okay, so this is a home that Tom actually shot himself. And you can see that there are a lot of Mattertags being used. So you can go here and you can see what this is. This happens to be a vegetable sink. That's awesome. You can go here and tap on that and say, okay, wow, it's awesome, professional Viking range and stove. And here we've got soft closing drawers. So the Mattertags add another kind of set of information and just data that I wouldn't otherwise be able to know, especially, even though I may be able to recognize this as a Viking, I certainly wouldn't know that these are soft closing drawers unless I had this tag telling me. So it's a really nice way of better understanding the property. So I can walk around, and I'm guessing you all have experienced this. You can either click on the little circles themselves or just in the direction that you want to move. You can also use the keyboard to move. That's usually how I do it. And you can just really walk around this space experiencing it, you can go upstairs. So I can just climb these stairs as I would if I was actually at this home and get to the top of the stairs and see the second floor. So a lot of power there. And I can obviously see the dollhouse view. And this is something, this is where you actually see the digital twin part of this, right? This is where you get to see, and this is, of course, accurate in measurement. It's on my screen, so looks small, but I can take a little measurement tool right here and hit the plus sign and just measure that, for example. So draw a measurement line is 25 feet from this wall to that wall. So that's something that just I guess a typical virtual tour may not be able to do, whereas one that was derived from a digital twin can do. Okay, so listing presentation. Bernard, did you want to talk a little bit about this and go into more details here?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Amir. Hey, folks, my name is Bernard. I'm from Seattle with Matterport, leading residential real estate strategy. And as Tom and Amir had mentioned previously, that Matterports are definitely a lot more than just your typical virtual tour mechanism that you might see on your listings. And so what a lot of agents have done in the past is they're essentially using Matterport as a very key part of their listing presentation. They're using that as an additional tool in their marketing tool belt to differentiate themselves from other listing agents who might be going after the appointment. And so they will talk about Matterports by way of talking about a couple different value statements, but the first of which is it's a very proven fact across various portals around the US and around the world for that matter, that listings with Matterport tours get significantly more exposure. So that's view count and view times than listings with just photos by themselves. And so the more time that someone spends inside the property, either on photos or on the listing properties page, or in this case, the Matterport tour, the higher the chances are they'll actually want to go tour the property. And so that's a huge selling point for a lot of your listing appointments. So keep in mind, again, increases exposure. Secondarily, with the idea of being able to tour the home from a virtual space, or tour the home in this case virtually, it brings upon the chance of you getting a chance to show homes to out of town or out of state buyers. Personally, I'm in Seattle. I am shopping for homes in Phoenix right now. So if any of you agents are in Arizona and looking for a buyer, that's me. But I look for listings with Matterport tours so that my wife and I can go through and make a purchasing decision, figure out, is this the right house for us? Does it have the right layout? Does it have a nice pool, et cetera, et cetera? Just things that we generally can't just see via photos. We seek specifically listings with Matterport tours, and we do that from afar here in Seattle. And for me personally, I'm comfortable making an offer sight unseen, and I think a lot of other buyers are there as well. But just know that's a really good value statement to use in your listing presentation. And the last point that I'll make here is that, we've done a lot of studies, and it shows that obviously the more exposure you get, the more buyers you get, the more offers you might get. All of that really compresses the timeline in terms of helping your listing sell faster. So some really good stuff there that I would definitely think about as you take upon your next listing presentation. I wanted to pass the mic over to Tom in case he has any additional data points that he typically likes to share for his listing presentations on this topic. Tom, do you have any sage advice for the group?
Yeah, I do actually. So, I mean, I use Keynote for my listing presentations, and basically with Keynote, I can go through a digital, just a nice linear presentation with my clients sitting at the kitchen table. We all know as listing agents, the kitchen table is your remote office, if you will. So creating some nice slides or having something in a printable version that you can give the client, and let them know that, this is not something that every agent's doing, that you're providing more value, obviously, right? It's all about value in a relationship. And you're more than happy to share, Bernard, my listing presentation slides that I shared with you. And so people can kind of see an idea of what I'm talking about. And, a couple of things I point on is during the coming soon status in Oklahoma with the Oklahoma City MLS, we're not allowed to show the properties physically. So, with the Matterport tour, buyers and agents can walk through that home in 3D space before the property goes live and see if they really want to go look at it. And so, again, I've got like 4 or 5 slides, I think. About 3. How many slides did I have, Bernard? About 4 slides that touched on Matterport, One is I like to highlight the fact that we can measure all the rooms and showcase the floor plan. Because how many times have you heard from a buyer? Well, I really can't tell the schematics, or if this room's next to this room, does it have the mother-in-law split plan or something? So being able to showcase the floor plan and all the measurements of the rooms is very sequential, I think, in being able to, attract a buyer that's more interested and more serious about buying that home. So definitely add Matterport to your listing presentation. Even if you don't own a camera and you're going to hire those services out, give it as an option and another value proposition to your potential sellers.
Spot on. All right. So I come from an analytics background. Love stats. I think they're quantifiable. And so if everyone would be willing to just write these stats down, I think they're super interesting. I think they should definitely be added to your listing presentations. But some stats you should know is that we've performed a lot of studies with a couple of partnering companies. And so the first stat is that 99% of sellers believe that a Matterport tour would give their listing a competitive edge. It would help them stand out in the marketplace. I've seen a couple of real estate website portals that have moved to allowing their buyers to shop specifically for homes with virtual tours. This says that there's growing interest in the community from the buyers and the renter pool in seeing homes specifically with Matterport tours. So keep that in mind. The second stat in the top right-hand corner there is that 95% of buyers are more likely to call about properties with 3D virtual tours. Like I said, I'm shopping for homes in Phoenix, and I really, from afar, and I really want to see houses where I can physically, virtually in this case, tour the space, make sure that it's got the right look and feel, make sure it's got the right layout. And if interested, I will send an agent out there or send a family member out there to go check out the property for me on my behalf. The last point there is that 74% of agents using Matterport win more listings. We surveyed a bunch of agents at random, and we asked them, like, hey, are you using Matterport? Are you using virtual tours in general? And a handful of them said yes, and a pretty good portion of them said, yes, I win more listings when I talk about Matterport in my listing presentation. And like I said, write them down. They're super important stats for you to use in your presentation.
Cool. Great stats. Virtual staging. This is something that you can use a platform partner to do. Can you talk about virtual staging a little bit, Bernard, and how that can benefit selling?
Yes, 100%. National Association of Realtors did a study, I think last August, pretty recent study, showing that homes with staging get significantly more views and significantly more just traffic time compared to listings that are completely vacant. And we've staged homes in the past, and here in the Seattle area, to stage a home for, I'd say, 3 to 4 weeks, which is the average cycle here. To stage a home for 3 to 4 weeks, you're looking at about $8,000 in total fees. $8,000 to rent the furniture, the bed frame, the tables, the desks, the chairs, what have you, $8,000. And so what we've done at Matterport is we've gone out there and found a handful of really solid platform partners, what we call them, and they specialize in 3D virtual staging. And so if you take a look at these 3 photos here with Amir, these companies have done a really good job at making, one, these photos look extremely realistic, but 2, they're actually very interactive. And so as you walk through the model, and as you're standing on the corner of the bed frame, you see that bed frame or that bed in general in full 3D view. It's not just a matter of photoshopping or superimposing furniture on a 2D images. These objects, these 3D objects, are actually superimposed upon the model itself. And so as you walk from room to room, look in different angles, you see the couch and the furniture and the bed, the TV, etc., from all different angles. It looks really realistic. I won't mention the cost here, but I will say that it's a fraction of what it would have cost if you had staged a house with real furniture over the span of a couple of weeks. So check it out. We have a couple different platform partners on our website. One of them is VRPM, and we have a couple of others as well. I'm flagging VRPM because that's exactly what you're seeing here. It's really good. You guys should definitely check it out. It could be a huge cost savings for you listing agents.
Yeah, they do a great job with photorealism, and there are other, DIY solutions. But like you said, with the typical staging, with actually, some company bringing in furniture, the length of time, how much time you are renting out that furniture has to do with how much you're going to pay. With this, once the work is done, that's it. The model is complete, and it doesn't matter. It can be online forever, really.
I will add, we have a couple of questions in the chat window right now with regard to just location and support, locale in general. And yes, these partners work globally with all agents from all around the world. And we have offices also all around the world as well. And so definitely let us know, definitely get in contact with us. We can help you get set up with Matterport. We can definitely help you get set up with one of our partners as well.
Sounds great. Yeah, and especially since, you know, with the staging in general, the whole reason is because we know that a lot of the reason for purchasing is done with the heart. You want to really feel, you know, at home in this space, and staging helps to do that. It gives you that instead of walking into like a completely empty, you know, shell. You're walking into something that feels a lot more homey, and you can see yourself in that space. So with these virtual stagers, they basically just have like a lookbook, and you know, the demographic of that neighborhood maybe, or whatever it might be. You can choose the look that you feel would fit that, and it's just implemented very easily. So it works very well. Okay, so I had a couple questions for you, Tom, if that's all right. First one, how do you explain what Matterport is to sellers during the listing appointment? How does, you know, is that something that you have like tips, something that you do to kind of better explain to them what Matterport is? I'm guessing some of them have never even heard of it.
Oh, exactly. You're speaking hieroglyphics to a lot of sellers during the listing presentation on the numerous things, not just Matterport. You know, I mean, they don't know what reverse prospecting is. They don't know what you know, they don't know what virtual staging really is. They kind of understand the word staging, but they don't understand virtual staging. And so, you know, people are visual. So again, by using Keynote or let's say PowerPoint or slide decks, you can embed, you know, pictures and samples of what a Matterport is, you know. And then the best thing that explains what Matterport is, Amir, is the video that you guys made, right? So definitely share a sample of video with the chat window, so all of the participants can see what that video looks like if they haven't already seen it. And I shared that video when I'm sitting there with my iPad. I'm like, hey, let's watch a quick video on this. And it's about 3 minutes of silence, I guess. How long is that video? Maybe a minute and a half.
Yeah, but I think 90 seconds, right?
Right, exactly. Short and sweet, right? So I play the video, and after that, they're like, oh, God, I get it. You know, oh, 95% of listings are found online. Wow, they can see the dollhouse view. They can see the Mattertags. You know, it talks about how me as an agent is investing in their future and in their sales of their properties. So the video really sums it up. I go through all the slides about the measurements, about you know, the dollhouse view, how they can see it during the coming soon status as a 3D tour, how it aids in out-of-state buyers being able to really understand what the floor plan looks like. But the video, man, that shores it up right there. The video that you guys gave to us and that we can use and embed in our presentations, that right there pretty much sums it up to all the sellers that I work with.
Mm-hmm. Do you use something like Showcase? We have well, it's iOS only, but I suppose anybody with Android can just use their browser just to pull up a model that either they've scanned or one from the gallery, just to kind of show here, this is what a Matterport model looks like. You know, you get this fully immersive experience and, you know, Mattertags and all that.
Yeah, I mean, the video again in 90 seconds, because what I don't want to do is give the client too much time to start hee-hawing or get sidetracked. I want to keep the presentation very linear and moving right along where I want them to be, right? So I don't want to sound cold and methodical, but I want to get the cattle from one end to the other end, you know, and close the deal. I want to close this deal, and if by the end of the presentation, I'm going to ask them, based on what I showed you, is there any reason why you wouldn't list with me today? You know, and there's, oh God, those are great tools. All right, well, let's go ahead and sign the listing agreement right now, so we're not wasting any time, and we can start getting this thing on the market and getting you closer to, you know, having a sold sign in your yard. So I do share with them a QR code and a text code that if they want to play with the model later on, they can. But for the most part, the video that you guys provided us, I mean, it shows everything that they need to look at. I mean, it is spot on. Again, I'm going to encourage everybody in the webinar right now to definitely take time to watch the video that Matterport created and use that in your presentation. Okay,
good tip.
Yeah.
So another question I have here is, how do you combat the view that houses sell themselves these days, right? I mean, why spend that extra on something like a Matterport or high-end, DSLR photos if the houses are selling themselves, and really all you need is to walk through with a cell phone, grab a couple snapshots, walk out.
So I mean, yeah, you do get that combative, almost negative condensation, and especially in this market. But here's the deal: what it comes down to is providing value. And one thing I talked about earlier is the legacy plan. So for all of you that don't know, Matterport offers if you want to host a scan for free, you can host one scan for free and create a free account. And so what I offer people is if they have they've raised their kids there, their family, they lived in the house for 30 years, they have so many memories built up in that house. I offer them the legacy plan. I'm like, hey, after we're done with this property and I've closed it out of the MLS and we've sold it, I'm going to transfer this scan to you so that you can have it indefinitely and walk through it anytime you want. And they love it. There's little ladies and little families that military where they might have had their first and second child. They got married in, and they love the fact that I can transfer the space to them at no charge, and they can host it and look over it. It's phenomenal. So it's an amazing tool. And so even listings that are selling them, so okay, you're going to end up with 5 offers. Wouldn't you rather have 15? What if you could just leave it on the market a little longer and get 15 to 20 offers because you have more of a intuitive aspect about this house and you're providing it. So I've had agents reach out to me for referrals because they saw that I used Matterport on Realtor.com and other websites. I've had sellers actually reach out to me and just out of the blue and say, hey, I saw that you provide Matterport tours and I want an agent that's going to do that on my listing. And you're the only agent out there that's really promoting this.
Do you find that by having a Matterport, tour of a home, have you found that it kind of expands your reach, your geography? Like with Bernard now, he's up in Seattle looking for a place in Phoenix. He's obviously going to be more interested in places that he can better understand via something like the Matterport model versus others, and he's going to pay more attention to those. Have you found that to be true? Your clients, the buyers of homes, tend to kind of be a little further out geographically speaking?
100%. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a growing trend, and again, it pains me to not understand why more agents aren't running towards this and wanting to take the easy route and not investing in their future and really embracing technology that will, aid in getting the property sold faster. So I've got a client who just moved to Colorado. And we sold his house here, and he didn't know about Matterport. But after I showed him the video and he saw the tour of his house, he understands what Matterport is now. So now he understands it. In his mind or his reticulating activating system is now searching this out, when he's looking for homes in Colorado. And he's like, Tom, I will literally spend more time looking for the 3D tours and delving into those properties than the houses that only have 10 or 5 pictures, and if 36 pictures, okay, that's great too. Yet if it's got a 3D tour, I can pretty much say yes or no that I definitely either want to see that 100% or I don't want to see that. So the Matterport tour, I think, takes out a lot of the guesswork and it makes it more transparent. And the biggest complaint I have from buyers when I'm showing them houses is, well, this looks nothing like the pictures. The pictures made it look way bigger. And the pictures didn't show the fact that it backed up to a railroad track. I mean, that's not going to keep the property from selling. And you're only causing more foot traffic in that property by not being more transparent about its externalities or other features that you may think is a turnoff could be a turn on to somebody else.
Yeah, good point. All right, do we have time for a couple more questions? Let's see here. So we've seen how to use Mattertags. We talked a little bit about that. What are some features and amenities that you typically tag in with you? We looked through a model. You had a bunch of Mattertags.
So, like in the Creek Bend house, I went a little overboard because the sellers, they built that house. It was a custom build. It was a luxury build, and they had so many features such as the soft closing drawers, the Viking, professional range, the cabinetry, the fact that it was hand scraped maple maybe, or security systems. So things that I normally things that would normally not be, visible to the naked eye. And I think it helps the agent too. I mean, if you're an agent and you're going to go show a house, why not look at the 3D Matterport tour and really understand that property in more depth so that when you get there to the property and show that client in physical form, you can really sell that property. You can get it sold a lot faster. So, things that I typically Matterport or Mattertag are like, if there's a door, okay, this is a closet door, this is a pantry, things that they just, if I'm not opening them, here's the garage access, here is the security, here's the smart thermostat, surround sound speakers. Maybe I'll do something on the floor if it's a hand scrape, really nice flooring. I'll do a long stem on the Mattertag so that when they're walking through, they can see it. I do a lot of videos on my property. So I'll put a video like right when they walk in the front door and they click on that Mattertag, they can actually go to the YouTube video and watch that, and you guys showcased that like with the Altman brothers on one of their properties. And in the actual Matterport video that you guys provided us, the 90-second spiel, it shows that you can embed a video in there. And one more thing, Amir, I want to talk about is how many of these in here work with builders? Can I get a poll real quick on how many agents work with builders, new construction, or rentals, or leasing agents? So imagine being able to create a digital portfolio for builders that you work with, right? They're building 12 to 15, 20 houses a year, maybe custom builds that are all different kind of floor plans and specs. And humans have very little visual imagination, right? We're not really visual imaginative people or creatures. So Matterport takes a lot of the guesswork out, and you're creating more value to the builder that you're working with by creating a 3D digital portfolio of all of their custom builds. So that if I'm a buyer and I want to custom build with this builder, I can go in and look at their portfolio digitally and say, oh, I like that floor plan. I like that floor plan. Oh, look at some of the amenities and features they've used in some of their previous builds. And now when you're talking to the builder, you can show them examples of what you want and what you like and what you don't like versus looking at a two-dimensional floor plan that's very non-intuitive.
Yeah, makes sense. I also noticed in one of your models that you had, there were like these very, very discreet kind of built-in spice racks on the ends of the stove. And in one scan position, you had it open, so you can kind of see how that looks when it is open. And in another one, it was just normal and closed. And I thought that was a really cool touch.
And I think as you're scanning, you can definitely kind of open certain doors. And it may be tricky sometimes getting them to align, but for the most part, I don't have any problems. I even had a property where the sellers were home the other day, and I said, okay, look, go to the master bedroom, go to the primary suite, lock yourself in there with your 3 dogs. I'll scan the rest of the house, and then when I get to your primary suite, I'll have you shuffle to the next room. So they did, and they went to the next room, and I just opened the door and I transitioned right into their room, and little things like that. So being able to open a pantry door, being able to open, the spice racks or something, a hidden feature in the house, when that buyer gets to that area, they can highlight and pivot there. Let's talk about car tours. Amir, have you ever heard the word car tour?
I don't think so.
Okay, gotcha. So in 2005, when I got into real estate, internet, people were still faxing offers. When was the last time anybody faxed an offer, right? So in 2005, offers were very, the technology just was not there, okay? And we would actually go on caravan tours. So where we would get in the car, we would go look at everybody's listings in the Tuesday meeting, right? So that was kind of common back in the real estate atmosphere back then, or environment, to go on car tours. Well, now people don't really go on car tours. They don't go preview an agent in their office listings before it hits the market. Or while it's on the market, as a car tour or a caravan tour. So what would it look like for an office to be able to say, hey, let's showcase some people's listings here. And instead of doing a car tour or a caravan tour, we're going to do a Matterport 3D tour and have it on the big screen or the projector or the TV, so that, or just broadcast that to all the agents as a link or a text, and they can watch it from their own phones. If they don't have a projector or a big screen, they can easily look at the 3D tour there, and you can post it to your brokerage's website maybe, and then all of the agents in that brokerage on their Facebook page can look at the listing that you just took.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point.
Yeah, I could go on and on about Matterport, how it makes life so much easier.
We have,
And again,
I was just going to say, we have a client, a very, very large commercial real estate company, and that's exactly what they do with their customers. Is it doesn't, for commercial real estate, it doesn't really make sense to go driving clients around. They set up a room
yeah,
where they bring the client in there, and they can see all of their different facilities, that meet the needs, and walk through them virtually. And they have all the information just laid out, and you can just do that instead of driving around.
exactly. It just makes so much more sense. And so one thing that I started doing when the pandemic first hit, Amir, is I was actually doing virtual open houses. And I need to get back to doing that. I really do. I need to do, before the listing goes live, I need to do a virtual preview open house and make that go live, and do a live feed maybe, or just do a recorded view and use something like EverWebinar, where I've already recorded it, I've already gone through it, and I'm just sitting back in the back, making it look like it's live, answering questions. Kind of like Charmaine's answering questions with the background here. You can use something called like EverWebinar and have the webinar already pre-recorded. You're walking through talking about the listing, and then you can make it go live in maybe like a real estate group or your brokerage, and really get it out there, and talking more about the listing, pumping it up so you can get more offers and showing value to your seller. Because again, if your seller sees that you're bringing value to the table, they're more likely to give you referrals, they're more likely to use you again, and they're less likely to argue about cutting your commission because you're bringing more value. And we're all dealing with that right now in this market, where sellers are asking us to take a lower commission because they're like, hey, you can sell it. I got a guy over here that'll do it at 5%. Yeah, but is that guy going to do a Matterport tour? Are they going to do HD video? Are they really going to pump up your listing? Well, you really don't have to in this market. It could be make or break. I mean, it's a race to the bottom, and lowering your commission does not necessarily make them a better agent or give you a better foothold in getting better offers in the market.
Agree with that. Okay, I did want to leave some time for questions from our attendees, and so I appreciate you guys sending in these questions very much.
Amir, can I answer a few of these questions for some people?
Absolutely. That's exactly what we're going to do. Can you see the questions, Tom?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great.
So Wes Wells says, how long does it take in training at being competent with a Matterport equipment for a non-professional photograph? If you've got an iPad and a Pulse, you can do this. It's that easy. I've had my 13-year-old scan properties. It is so easy. I mean, literally, you scan one property, you maybe make a few mistakes. I would say by property number 3 or 4, you're going to be so proficient, you're going to have this down. And it takes, 5 seconds to scan one scan area, maybe 3 seconds. It goes so fast. You can take as long as you want or as little. I mean, you can move really fast for a property and blow through it to no time. So Wes, again, how much training does it take? I would say after you scan 1 or 2 properties, you'll be totally cool. I mean, it's that easy.
Yeah. Start with practicing on your own property, just do your own house. But,
exactly.
Like Tom said, it's just a matter of practice. And I think everything that can be automated has been automated. So all the color correction, all the aligning, everything is done for you. There are obviously some things that you want to, keep in mind when doing it, simple, basic practices. But for the most part, I, wholeheartedly agree. It's something that just about anybody can manage.
Exactly. Okay, I want to move on to Dennis from the Netherlands says, could you touch on virtual staging? That included purchasable shopping items. Is this something that is being worked on? Amir, that's more of a question for you.
Yeah. So virtual staging. So it's done through a platform partner, another company that they'll provide them with your Matterport model link, and they'll take it, and then they just ask you, okay, what look do you want? And they have, different things that you can choose through, like I said, like a lookbook. You say, okay, that's the style I'm looking for, modern farmhouse, whatever. And they'll make it look like that, every single scan position in your Matterport model. Now, as far as purchasing goes,
it's amazing for high-end properties. Yeah,
absolutely. As far as purchasing goes, while those, that's a virtual couch, for example, so it doesn't really make sense to buy that. I'm not even sure if it exists in reality somewhere. But yes, there are certainly companies. I don't want to mention any names because I'm not 100% sure, so I'm not getting into that. But there are definitely companies that create 3D models of their furniture that can be taken into and put into a Matterport model. You can put a little tag on that. A person can walk through, click on it, even if it's not virtual, even if it's actually staged in the model. There are influencers. There's another platform partner called Open House. And I can link to that. That basically works with influencers, and they'll create Matterport models of their home, and every little thing that they can sell, you can click on and you can just buy it right there. So as far as e-commerce, yes, you can turn your digital twin into a complete e-commerce store if that's what you wanted to do. I hope that answers your question, Dennis. Tom said he puts on realtor.com. How do you do that, Tom?
Well, you guys do it for me. I don't have to
basically.
do anything. So, yeah, you guys have a partnership. Matterport has a partnership with realtor.com. And so it automatically syndicates to realtor.com from the actual scan site. And so also, but here's the thing too, I noticed with Zillow, Zillow had their own like kind of makeshift scanning software, and so that you could use with your phone, but it was very wonky. It didn't really work as good and as fluid and linear as Matterport. But now that if I put the unbranded tour in my virtual tour link in the MLS, it automatically syndicates to Zillow as well. So again, if you go to Zillow and you look at one of my listings, I mean, the 3D tour is on there and it's not hidden like it used to be.
Mm-hmm. Do you just place the 3D tour in your MLS and then all the other sites are scraping that, or do you actually go and proactively create a listing on any one of these other sites and add the tour there?
No, it all syndicates. So everything pulls from the MLS nowadays. They've made it really easy. You don't have to go in and create or add anything to listings. As a matter of fact, I don't think Zillow allows us to put anything on their site. It all pulls from the MLS, and so MLS has the ultimate authority into the being able to pull that information to the MLS and to the other sites like Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, anything like that. I guess that's a brokerage, but I mean, there's other websites out there that syndicate this as well. So again, it's pretty much you don't have to do anything. But I use the Matterport tour for social media. I put it on Blogger. I put it on Tumblr. I put it on LinkedIn. There's a lot of sites that I'll go through, and I'll utilize that to the best of its ability to get more exposures. And then what's even cooler is that you guys have created a situation where I'm gonna go back out because I'm really loud and echoey in there. You guys created a point in the site itself where I can go back and look at all of the impressions and visitors that have visited that 3D tour. So I can share that with the seller and say, hey, you've had 572 unique visitors that have looked at your site.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So basically, like you're saying, just add that link to MLS with Realtor.com. I don't know about the others. We do have a syndication partnership. So even if it's not put in MLS, as long as the addresses in your Matterport model and the address in the listing on Realtor match, there's a like exact match there, it'll just bring it over automatically. So that's kind of nice.
Okay, Winona Goodwin says, is there any editing that has to be done when it's finished? Yes and no. I mean, I go through and I measure all the rooms. I label all the rooms. I'll create the virtual slide reel, I guess, right? But aside from that, that's really all the editing in the Mattertags. So I mean,
there's no photo editing per se. It's just the amount of information that you want to add on top of what's already there.
Exactly. So it's super simple, super sweet. I mean, I'm telling you, this is like why more people aren't running towards this. I have no idea. I mean, it's so easy. It's like, God, if you have an iPad and a Pulse, you can do this.
Yeah, anybody can actually play around. I don't know if you know this, Tom. When you sign up for a free account, there's a way, it's right there at the top. There's a way of actually like downloading a sample model. And so a sample model will just right there, as soon as you open up your free account, a sample model will get copied over and you can just start playing with it. And you haven't, scanned anything.
Yeah, I would definitely encourage everybody to just go ahead and if you don't own a Matterport camera, go download a sample and just see what it looks like, for editing. It's super simple.
it's actually easier for me to go in there and edit a Matterport tour. So like once I upload it to the MLS, or once I upload the Matterport tour to Matterport, I would say within about 3 hours, Matterport sends me the finished copy, all revised, and then I just have to go in there, open it up, and then edit it. And it takes me about maybe like 30 minutes to edit. I'm done, and then I share it with the client, and they're like, again, everybody's always like, that is so cool. That is so awesome. They start sharing it on their sites, and then everybody starts chiming in saying, that was awesome, because they've never seen anything like this. They're used to seeing, slideshows or still images with elevator music.
Yeah, exactly. Will the sample model work on Android? Yeah, absolutely. The sample model will work on Android. You can go in. A while back, we changed Workshop around so that it actually works on mobile. So yes, you can even edit your models today via your mobile device. You don't have to like go to a computer anymore to do that. So really cool. We try and make everything, all the features and everything available simultaneously on all platforms. Windows, PC, Windows, PC, Mac, Android, iPhone, all that stuff covered to go in, share, edit, everything.
Right. One more thing too is I'm buying my first rental property, Amir, and I'm actually excited once I get my rental property up and running to go in and scan that so that I can advertise it to potential renters, without even having to lift them in the property right away. I can just say, hey, look at the 3D tour first, and if you want to schedule a time to go look at the actual rental property in person, we can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. For rentals, it's a great solution. Not only to do exactly what you said, check this out first, make sure it's what you want, and then I'm happy to meet you there. But also, that's something that you can use if you ever need to bring in a contractor. You can say, hey, check out this model. This is what I need to have worked on. What do you think? How much is it going to cost? They can take measurements themselves and showcase and so on. Again, without having to drive all the way out there. Totally agree with that. I have a rental property and a model of it. It's 2 hours away. I don't want to drive out there every weekend. All right. Awesome. Thanks, Tom, so much. I really appreciate it. I know you're had to multitask to join us, but I really appreciate
Amir, thanks for having me. And again, to all of the participants out there, start using Matterport. It's a no-brainer. It pains me why we're not running towards this, and some people are running away from it. But again, it's the future. It's the technology out there that's going to drive your business. Eventually, the market's going to flip again, and you're going to want to position yourself as an expert, and an expert in capturing properties, showcasing properties, and selling properties. Create that value. Start looking into how you can incorporate this into your business plan or model. And then eventually I won't go to listing presentations and saying, hey, this is my secret weapon. I'll be able to say, this is the standard in real estate nowadays. Everybody's doing Matterport. That would be cool. That's what I want to happen in 10 years.
I think we're headed in that direction. It's just a matter of time. Change takes time. All right. I really appreciate it. Bernard, thank you very much for joining and helping us out with the stats and all that. Appreciate your time as well. And thank you for all of you who attended and asked us great questions. Hopefully this information was helpful and you can use Matterport, better in, in your next listing presentation and win that listing. That's what it's all about. All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care.